Welcome back to the Humans of Tallinn podcast. If you're new, then welcome aboard. Humans of Tallinn is a Baltic Film, Media, Arts and Communications School Crossmedia second-year students project about the people of Tallinn with the aim to show the colors of the city through its inhabitants. Today, we will be talking to our guest, Robin, a 21-year-old professional para-athlete who was selected the best young athlete of 2017 and has been among the best in para-swimming in the world. He currently studies product design in the Estonian Academy of Arts. When he met our team, he talked to them about how he was supposed to go to the Tokyo Olympics this year and how today's situation in the world has made his life different. Hello, Robin.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Can you tell me and to all of our listeners, how did you become a para-athlete?
This is like quite a long story, but in short, it was basically that I started swimming lessons when I was like 4 or 5 because my parents wanted to teach me like how to swim. And in the 3rd grade, we had like swimming lessons in the school, and there was this teacher who saw me, and she was like extremely happy to see me, and she recommended me to my current coach. And from there on, I just started to swim with the coach, and I got better and better and better, and then in the end, I became a para-athlete.
Okay, and can you also tell people, because many people don't actually know what the para in para-athletics means?
It's actually, it means parallel, so everyone is kind of like equal. No. Yeah, it's actually parallel. I was at first I thought it was paraplegic, but actually, I think it's parallel.
Yeah, because many people think that this is what it actually means. And what is like, what's the reason why you can't do like quote unquote normal sports?
Yeah. Well, basically, I was born without left arm up to the elbow, and this has been with me since the birth, and I have gotten really used to it. And I don't really mind it at all. But usually I wear a prosthetic just because people won't be looking so weirdly at me.
Okay, but is it more comfortable for you to be without it? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually it is more comfortable. When I'm at home, I don't wear the prosthetic.
Okay. And how popular is parasport in Estonia?
It's weird to say because there aren't that many Estonians, and the chances of like a kid being born without I don't know, some hand or a leg isn't that like common. So I mean, as many there are kids that really like want to do something, then I mean, it's, how do I tell you? It's so difficult to tell you. Like, I guess it's like as popular as it can be.
Okay, but would you say like what's in the ballpark? Like what number of people do you have? For example, you do swimming, like.
You mean in Estonia?
In Estonia. Because are there different, like for you as a swimmer, do you train with other swimmers who are quote unquote normal athletes, or do you have like a different training schedule, like a regimen?
I actually train quite similar to normal swimmers, but I just maybe swim a little less than the average ones because it takes me a little bit longer time to do the laps because I'm missing one arm. But I guess in numbers, what you asked was, I guess that's in hundreds. But yeah, I don't know the exact number.
But do you feel like it should be getting more attention, or should the approach be different for para-athletes, or is there anything like the state should do or the country should do to be more supportive, or is the training just basically the same and you just have to do what you can do?
Well, there's 2 things that really like we as para-athletes need. One is the people. I think that I think we're not currently maybe there yet, but I think there should be like special therapists and massage people, I guess, that know like the body like extremely well, even on people who are a little bit disabled, because our body changes so differently. I mean, my right side is so much more heavier than my left side, and because of that, my back goes like it gets to. I have a little small scoliosis, so. and also because my left side is so much more weaker, my left leg is also so much more weaker, and like how to train with this kind of disabilities. And currently, we don't really have that in Estonia.
So you don't have the professionals or the coaches
Yeah.
who know how to train specifically
Yeah.
for issues like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. And how do you think the majority of the population perceives parasport in Estonia?
To be frankly honest, I think they still think that it's something that's like everyone gets a participation medal, and it's not really a real sport. But actually, it is. And I train as much as the normal athletes do, but I think they still think that it's not even like a event to be proud of.
That's very interesting. It's my stepmom is a swimmer. She holds many Estonian records, and now like not all of her children, but many of them to swimming as well. So it's very interesting that it's that you happen to swim as well. But are people motivated enough to become para-athletes, and what could be improved about it?
I guess yes and no. I mean, the motivation is there to be like good and best and get medals for our country, but there isn't that much money to do it. So you usually have to do something besides like swimming, because we don't have the financial support. So let's say normal athletes, they get some kind of like monthly income from the government or the Olympic Committee, but we don't. We only get, let's say, bonuses for, let's say, we did good in some competitions or stuff like that, but like a current salary we don't have.
And how do you handle swimming and going to the university at the same time?
It's extremely difficult. I try to balance it, but I think that right now I'm suffering a little bit because of the school. Because it's mostly like school is taking the more time than like training, and I can't train with my coach, so I mostly train alone right now, because due to the timetables I either have two options: to go extremely early in the morning or to go extremely late in the evening.
Do you feel there could be something done about it to improve it, or is it just like you've decided to study something that takes up a lot of your time, and it's just about time management basically?
I think it's the second option.
Yeah, okay.
It's
What do you think about the city tempo in Tallinn? Do you feel like we're living in is it a fast-paced city or a slow-paced city, or do you have an opinion about that?
It's a good question. I think that we're getting to to being an extremely fast city. And I feel like in maybe the last 5 years, I feel like everyone's super busy and everyone's like just like have a really like a focused face when they walk to go somewhere. But I think it's like still kind of small, and because of that, I think that the tempo is a little bit slower than, let's say, I don't know, a little bit bigger cities.
I feel like we were just a small city until they made the Viru crossing so that you can cross it diagonally, and at that point we became like a real city. How do you feel the tempo in the city and in your own life has changed since the corona outbreak?
I guess, I mean, with school not that much, because but with training it has slowed down a lot. Because when the corona first came, like everything was closed, so basically I sat home and only maybe did some exercise with dumbbells and or went out running, but that was it. And I felt a little bit that you don't really have to go anywhere, so you can do everything at home or outside of your house, and it's really slowed down the tempo.
You mentioned before that because you don't have a left arm, then your right side is much stronger, and it does make sense because you can't work out with your left arm as much, and all of that. But are there like special things you can do and you have to do to try to keep your body in balance in some way?
I mean, I like it's really difficult because I really like the only way to do something is try to be like really inventive in the gym, like trying the different kind of machines and like what can, like when I lift something with my, like I can lift things with my left hand a little bit, but not that much, and trying to see like what kind of muscles do they work with and things like that, but like I guess a little bit of chiro. Let me get a drink.
That's okay.
Like therapy and massages, like they kind of help to do that. Like maybe stretch out my legs, and massage some spots that get extremely like painful, and from there, I guess I just do it like extremely like day by day.
And how do you feel? Have you lived all of your life in Tallinn?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And how do you feel that the people here? How do I say it? How do they take to someone that is missing a limb?
Usually, they're not that. They're more curious than they're afraid. They're just like looking and doing stuff. And generally, people are extremely helpful. They really just want to help when they see you doing something. So the stereotype that Estonians don't really want to do anything with is wrong in a way.
Because for me, the first, like when I see, like it's the same. Let's say somebody has a strange like scar on their face, or like paint on them, or whatever. Like you see somebody and there is something different, then the first thing I want to do is I want to get it over with.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know like what happened, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. But how do you feel? Are there some people who, like, when they see that something is different from normal, let's say, that they try to avoid it because they feel uncomfortable because of it?
I guess some people do. Maybe I think it's more elderly people, I guess. I don't know why, but during the years I've seen that usually elderly people are more like seeing, like, get a little bit away or look. But younger people don't really mind it at all.
Yeah, because a few weeks ago I was at the gym, and a friend of mine was training with her trainer, and she introduced me to her trainer, and her trainer gave me a handshake. And when I was doing the handshake, I realized that she only had like 2 or 3 fingers, but she just like came in very strongly and just did it. And I was walking over and I was like, oh, wait a minute, this person only had 2 or 3 fingers. But it yeah, because I feel it's so much easier when you just talk about it, and when you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And you said before that you were born like that.
Yeah.
And can I ask, or is it too like personal, or do you know like why it happened?
I can answer that, but the answer is disappointing that no one knows why. It's like the doctors didn't know, and my parents asked, but like really didn't know, and so it's like a mystery, I guess. But I think because I'm born this way, I think I'm a lot more open to the like discussions, and I don't really mind it at all. Like when like a small child asks me, I always like answer them, even if it's in Russian. I try to answer them in some kind of ways, so just that they will know and they won't be afraid like in the future when they see someone who's kind of same like me.
When you went to school, when you were growing up,
Yeah.
was it difficult? Was it like with your classmates? How fast did they get used to it, or was it something that was a problem in school?
It wasn't a problem at all. I think it was really in my mentality, because I really don't want to be like, I really want to be like a full, like a normal person, because I don't want to feel like I'm a disabled person. And I really tell it to myself like every day that you're like a normal person and you can do everything. And I think because of that mentality, like a lot of people accepted me as like a normal kid, and there weren't really like, I guess, like any problems with this, because of my disability. I mean, I did like different like rousy things, but it wasn't because of the disability.
How often do you interact with strangers day to day?
With my disability?
No,
Or
just in general.
In general.
But you can answer either question,
Yeah,
whichever one is more interesting.
I mean, I'll answer the first question. I guess quite a lot. because in Estonian Academy of Arts there is a lot of like some projects or things you need to ask from certain people that you really don't know. So you kind of, I wouldn't say like almost every day, but quite often actually.
And do you find it comfortable?
I actually do. I mean, if the other like part of the conversation seems kind of like happy and not really aggressive, then I don't mind it at all.
Okay. Do you feel there is a possibility of a friend in every stranger?
I guess yeah, there is. I think that. I really.
Everyone?
I mean, not maybe everyone, because I guess like some things can come in the way, maybe different opinions on some topics. But I really like imagine I don't know, sitting next to an elderly person in the park and talking to them to see like what is their life and how they are. I think I'm mostly positive about it.
Tell me of the most interesting or a very memorable interaction with a stranger from the past year.
Give me a second. I need to think. It's like you don't really remember those.
But if you want, it can be from 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But just some time when you've met somebody who was a stranger and you can still remember it because something.
I guess I can remember one thing when I took a cab, and there was this I don't know, this guy. He was from Saaremaa, but he was like extremely chill and extremely polite, and we talked all the way through the taxi journey, and I don't know, it made my day a lot better because he was so like positive and gave me like a good energy.
Okay, this is maybe a very stupid question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you have many friends, or do you know many people who also are missing a limb?
I don't know that many because, as I mentioned, that there aren't that many disabled people in Estonia because of our population, and if there even are, there a lot of people are actually like hiding and not really like talking or communicating about it.
Because where I was going with that question is, I've had the feeling for many years from people who are missing limbs that it's oftentimes people who have lost their limbs or who are missing limbs who are much more cheerful and happy. Because my theory is that when you don't have something that everyone else has, it makes you appreciate everything that you do have. Mm-hmm. And so I often find that people with many missing limbs are super happy and super positive because they have this like contrast. Mm-hmm. And many people who have all the limbs are just always complaining like, oh, I'm not fast enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm whatever it is. And my question would be like, do you find that to be true?
Yes, I actually do. I think it's but it's also, I think it's kind of like the mentality thing that let's say I know that I can't do some things and I'm totally okay with it. So I don't really get disappointed by some things that, like, let's say, for example, I can't ride a motorcycle and I don't feel bummed about it. So I guess this is like the second part why I feel so happy all the time.
This is so off topic, but it just reminded me of something. There is a man, I don't know his name, I can find it out. There is a man who helps people with dying. And some horrible accident happened to him, so he lost basically both of his legs from under his knees and at least one of his arms from above the elbow, and he maybe has one arm. And he rides a motorcycle because he found a guy who was able to like basically tune him a motorcycle in a way that he has 3 limbs, like the 3 prosthetics, and he rides a motorcycle with that, and he has like one hand, a hook for a hand, and he has I think one hand which is fully functional, and they actually built him a motorcycle that he can ride with just one hand.
That's interesting.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything is possible.
Yeah.
Has anything happened that has really surprised you? Let's say in the past year.
In Tallinn, I don't know. Like,
Or has anybody acted in a way that has really surprised you? That you've been like, wow, this is very strange for an Estonian to act, or for a person in Tallinn to act.
Yeah.
You know, because I'll give you an example. We were organizing a party years and years and years ago, and we did a promo clip where we were walking on the streets of Tallinn, and we just gave compliments to people, and most Estonians, and I say 95% of the people, they got scared, and they thought that we wanted to mock them, or like we wanted something from them, and everybody was like, they had a very strange vibe to them. The only people who actually thanked us and who were actually like pleased about it were tourists that we didn't know were tourists, because we didn't know. And there was like one lady who was like in her 80s, who was actually like very, very beautifully dressed, and we said like, oh, you look very beautiful today, and she was like, oh, thank you so much, you guys look so beautiful as well, and it's so nice to see you. And there are so few people like that, because in Estonians there is still this thing that like we've suffered so much, and everybody wants something from everyone else, and you can't trust anybody, and so you just try to say the nicest thing to somebody, and they don't trust you. They think like, oh, they want something from me.
I guess like not even like I would say like big things, but I think it was a few weeks ago. Actually, I saw like one of those Bolt scooters was laying down on the ground, and someone actually took it and put it back up how it's supposed to be. And I think even if it's like an extremely small thing, I don't expect a lot of like general people to do that. Like the little small act of kindness to the company itself, I guess.
And it's also very strange, like even if you try to be kind to people, it's highly likely that they're going to refuse, because one of the things that I often suggest for people to do is, if you're waiting to buy a coffee in a cafe and there is somebody behind you, offer to buy them a coffee as well, and they're like 99% of the time they're going to say no.
Yeah.
You're actually just offering to buy them a coffee for free. You don't want anything from them, but they're gonna be like, no, what do you want from me? Like, why are you talking to me? Why do you want to give me a coffee?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So people are super strange like that.
Yeah. No, it's like the small act of kindness. I think it's like that really goes unnoticed in the cities, because you don't really see the kindness from the big masses of negativity and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I actually remember, this is again, it's so off topic, but I'm going to tell it anyway. When I lived in Melbourne, I did this test when for 30 days, every day I had to try to do something, and I tried to ask something from people that they would definitely say no to. So it was basically like a test of rejection. So that you have to get rejected for 30 days straight every day with something. So you do something or you ask something that everybody would obviously say no to. And so I just asked one day for people to give me money, just strangers, and obviously they said no. And what I did then was I offered to give them money, and they also said no. I was just offering like, hey, here is like I gave them like $5 or $10 or something like that. And everybody was like, no, I'm not taking it. This is very strange, right? Yeah, completely off topic once more, but I just, that's what came to my mind. So, you know what, actually, there is something that I haven't asked a single question about. Why do you go to the Estonian Arts Academy?
I go to the Estonian Academy of Arts. The story was that basically at the end of the high school, I was this kind of kid that didn't really know what to do with his life. And I saw like an advert that come to Estonian Academy of Arts to the, I don't know how it's in English, but I guess it's in like open days or something like that. Like you can go to the school and see it, and they give you some kind of a tour and stuff like that. And I went there, and for some reason it became like an idea that I have to be in Estonian Academy of Arts. Like, I don't know, for some reason. And I study industrial design, which is basically like where I create products. And I've always, because of my disability, I've been like an inventor from, I think, since I could talk, because I really needed to think through like how can I do this or this or this at that. And this is like the closest kind of profession to an inventor. So I think that's the reason. And I really enjoy the school because our school is like, I think, maximum 1,500 people, I think, with actually with lecturers and stuff like that. And it's like extremely like a small, cute university where almost everyone knows like everyone. It's weird to say, but it kind of is, and you feel like so warm in there that you don't really want to leave from the school. Like everyone is kind of kind to you and happy.
That's very beautiful to hear. That's the warmest words I've heard about Student Academy of Art so far. But it's interesting that you mentioned that because of your condition, you've had to be an inventor since you were a child, and this is like where this truism, like that every curse is a blessing in disguise, comes from. Because when something happens to you, or when you're put in a position that is like difficult in some way, it forces you to try to think of new ways to accomplish something. And this is why, like, it's never the people who are the most successful and the most happy and the most well-raised and the most well-everything that come up with new ideas or that really like push the world forwards, because they have no need for it. But it's always somebody that has like a problem, even with art. You know, you have some sort of an issue, whether it's with love or with war or whatever it is. And this is the thing that pushes you to like, oh, I have to fix something. I have to find a way to express something. And missing a limb is just like a very, how do I say, I can't find the right word, but it's a one manifestation of a thing when you just have to find different ways to behave in everyday situations, and nobody else even has to think about anything like that. But are there things that you've like invented for yourself, or is there anything like that you feel you would like to invent that would make life easier for you or for other people? And maybe to follow that up, so I don't forget about it. When you think of product design and when you think about, let's say, inventing things, is it usually connected to your situation,
Yeah.
or is it normally not connected to it at all?
What was the first question that you asked me?
I have no idea. I just asked the question and then I've completely forgotten about it.
What have I invented in my everyday life? I
Yes,
guess.
or is there something that you would really like you have an idea in your mind? You were like,
I mean, probably I won't invent it, but I would really like to play guitar or play the piano. I would really like to, but I mean, with one hand, you can't do like that much with those instruments. And usually what I mean by inventing is that everyday situations, like even how to tie a shoelace or how to eat with a fork and a knife and those kind of things, like you have to adapt to those. And I think this is where the inventing part comes from. And to answer the product design part is that generally no. We usually do projects that are in let's say what the lecturers give us. So we don't really have that much like open hands in terms with projects.
what's the greatest invention ever?
Greatest invention ever. Wow.
It's a very dumb question, I know.
It's like difficult actually. I don't know. The wheel, I guess.
The wheel?
I guess the wheel.
Okay.
I think.
What about glasses?
Glasses are also good, but I mean,
If you would have to pick.
if I would have to pick, I think the wheel, or a chair. I think chair is also something extremely cool.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
I mean,
What's the greatest invention that anybody has made for people with missing limbs? Are there things? Because again, this is something I have no idea about. Are there objects? Are there products that are made specifically for people with missing limbs that they use day to day to do normal things? That because you mentioned like tying your shoelaces and stuff like that before. I have no idea how you do it, and I imagine there are so many things that like like closing your jacket with
Mm-hmm.
the sounds impossible
Yeah.
to me. And so, are there things like objects that are used a lot
Mm-hmm.
by people
Mm-hmm.
with missing limbs?
I mean, I don't know that much, but I'll tell you that when it came to the topic of tying your shoes, is that I think it was 2 years ago, Nike made those shoes that had the automatic motor to get the shoes like done, and this was like quite heavily advertised to people with disabilities, because I mean, let's say you have Parkinson's and there's no possible way, but you can at least hold something, so that you can at least have your shoes made. I think this is something, but mostly I think what they have usually invent is like better prosthetics. I guess that's the main thing that they do.
But they don't have ones that you can use to play the piano yet.
No, not yet. But I mean, I'm pretty confident that in my lifetime I will be able to play piano with two hands. And what I wanted to also add is that when they create products, they don't necessarily, let's say, advertise them to disabled people, but they, let's say, if I'm missing a limb, they usually design it in a way that some kind of actions are possible to do with only one hand, so you don't need the other. So this is like the kind of adaptation that you can do with certain products.
Do you have some examples?
Bottle openers, so that there's, I don't know, some kind of magnetic bottle openers that you can do with one hand, so you don't have to hold the bottle with the second hand.
What's the most difficult thing to do with a missing limb for you?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Is there anything that you you struggle with that is very easy for other people?
Eating with fork and knife.
Oh yeah, well obviously,
Yeah.
but that's a stupid convention anyway.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
don't. Nobody needs a knife. You can just eat
Yeah,
with a fork.
yeah. I mean,
That's
I mean,
my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly eat actually with a fork, but I guess this is like when it's there, like a heavy meatloaf is on the plate, and you can't do it with your knife. Just you try to like push it so hard, and you can't do it. And then I guess I'm excused of this, but I'll just go with in like a Viking, just stab the fork inside the meat and just go like that, because it's so much more easier to do. And I hope that other people won't mind it.
It would be very interesting to know, like, if everybody only had one arm, if all humans only had one arm, how different everything would be. Like all the inventions, everything in our life would probably be super, super different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably would be.
We will have to wait and see. Maybe the next virus is gonna grab an arm off of everyone, and we will have a completely different world.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, I'm gonna ask you some questions that people asked on Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. First question. Which one of your competitions is the most memorable and why?
It's the national, the World Championships in London. It was in 2019. Yeah. And it's because I think London was like a special city. It was also the Olympic pool that they used to hold the 2012 London Olympics in. So that was kind of cool, and it looked beautiful. It was like the architect was Zaha Hadid, and it looked extremely beautiful. And also I did really well. My personal time I did I made it better, like 2.5 seconds, which is a lot in swimming, and I was like really happy with it. But I worked really hard for it as well, and I think that's the main reason that like the suffering and the sweat and tears and everything paid off.
Yeah. Again, I had my own question from that, because we mentioned before that you were supposed to go to the Tokyo Olympics this year.
Yeah.
How disappointed were you that they were cancelled?
I was disappointed a little bit. I mean, obviously, I was like, the one thing that sucked the most was I took a gap semester from school to train specifically for the Olympics. But when the corona came, I was just sitting at home and I didn't even go back to school. But I wasn't that bummed about like the event being cancelled, because with me I wasn't the only one who suffered. There were I think 10,000 or even more people who like didn't get the chance to go to the Olympics. And I think when there is a bigger group of people who suffer from the same thing, it makes it a little bit easier for the individual.
Okay, this the next question is again so off topic, but are they gonna hold the Olympics the next year, or what are they gonna do?
I think what I have read is that they confirmed it, that it will be held in the September of 2021, but I think they do a lot of like testing there, like they get people on the stadiums and see if there is a chance to spread coronavirus, and I think they really want to like host it.
Okay, so next year in September.
Yeah.
The Summer Olympics of 2020 are happening in the autumn of 2021. That's
yeah.
Perfect. Okay, next question from the internets. It is widely believed that a person needs 10,000 hours to achieve the title professional. Do you think you already have spent 10,000 hours in training or no? And for people who don't know about that, that number basically comes from a book by Malcolm Gladwell, where he said that when you look at through any profession basically, or anything that you can train or spend time doing, then 10,000 hours is like the magic number when you become a professional.
I have thought about it many times. Like, I think I might have, but I mean, it's not really like I wouldn't say maybe I haven't spent 10,000 hours exactly on swimming, but like swimming related things. I mean, I would take into account like gyms and all the other exercises that are outside of the pool as well. Then I think maybe it is 10,000.
Okay. Next question. Do you feel like living in a city makes you more active, positively or negatively?
That's a good question. I think it does make me more active, because for some reason it's always when you're inside the city you have like so much things to do. I don't know why, but sometimes when I just go out to the countryside, I don't know, with my friends or stuff like that, you feel like you don't really have to do anything and you feel like so free, which is also the good part of the countryside, that you again like finally rest. But I don't know if I'm more active or less active. I think I'm more active in the city.
Okay. Again, maybe it's an interesting fact for our listeners. What they've managed to do is you take a camera and you put it on a city street and you just film people's legs walking on the street, and you record the sound, and from how fast people are walking and from how many syllables they say in a second, they can basically say to the accuracy of like 10,000 people how many people live in that city. Because the bigger the city is, the faster people walk and the faster people talk. And you have to just see the feet moving and hear the syllables to say pretty much exactly how many people live there.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Boom. So somebody should do that in Tallinn and see if the numbers match. Okay, next question. Also the last one. If you were an animal, would you be a sea animal?
That's a funny question. I guess... Yeah, maybe.
Don't answer yes or no. You answer with the animal that you would be.
Mm-hmm. I guess it would be like logical to be like a sea animal, but I don't know, for some reason I think that flying seems so much more cooler, and I think eagle will be like a cool animal to be, because it's like you can kind of go anywhere where you want and do like whatever you like, I guess, and because you're the biggest bird in the world, so I mean you can do whatever you want.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you one more question. If you could change one thing about Tallinn, what would it be?
If I could change one thing, I guess I would want to have more bike lanes, I think.
You mean the paths of absolute death and terror next to the bus lanes are not good enough?
I guess. Yeah, I think I like to ride my bike a lot.
Who are those monsters who have the courage to actually drive on those strange
I
lanes?
I actually do, and it's kind of scary, but you get used to it. But I mean, it's not safe at all. At all.
Monsters. That's not normal. Okay, Robin, thank you very, very much for coming here to Humans of Tallinn podcast. I had a very fun time talking to you.
Yeah,
and,
thank you for having me. It was my first podcast experience for me, and this seems like it's just like a conversation to me, and I really enjoyed it.
And that's what it should be. And we hope that all the best for you.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Thank you for listening. This is the end of the episode. It was a pleasure and hope you had as much fun as we did. Special thanks to our guest, Robin, for coming and sharing his story. You can follow Humans of Tallinn on Facebook and Instagram at Humans of TLN. Stay tuned for our next episode and keep noticing the colorful humans around you. Bye-bye.